Hello and welcome back to another episode of What's the Buzz? This episode we will be looking at leafcutter bees, also known as Megachilidae megachili. I will be going over some of the random facts of these, identification methods, foraging habits, their nesting habits, some common conservation concerns with them, and ways that humans can help the leafcutter bees of North America. If you are unsure of why we should help save pollinators or why they're in trouble in the first place, please check out my first video in this series, What's the Buzz? The Story of Pollinators. Leafcutter bees, as you might have been able to guess, get their name because they cut pieces of leaves. They cut these leaves, or sometimes even petals, for their nests. This is a relatively large genus of bee containing about 140 species in North America and nearly 1,100 species worldwide. These are moderate to large bees that can range from 0.4 to 0.8 inches depending on the species you're looking at. They are smoky colored, stout bodied, and have flattened abdomens with pale hairbands. Females often have broader heads to accommodate the large mandibles that are used for their leaf or petal cutting practices. This broad head and upturned abdomen often present with a rather pugnacious look for bees. Leafcutters also have thick brush-like patches of hair on the underside of their abdomen used for collecting pollen. This is called a scopa. Most species of megachile are generalists and can collect pollen and nectar from a large variety of flowers. There are some specialist species that pollinate plants specifically from the aster and pea families, though. Megachile rotundata is an introduced species to North America that are commonly used to commercially pollinate alfalfa. Generalist leaf colors can pollinate most flowers, but need to have plants with soft, flexible leaves and flower petals to help them build their nests. If the leaves are too hard, it takes more energy to cut them and is harder to mold into their brood cells. Leafcutter bees are primarily active for 4 to 6 weeks in the summer. When the temperatures are consistently 70 degrees Fahrenheit, larvae that were laid the previous generation begin to develop. Males emerge first and hang around the nests waiting to mate with females that emerge a few days later before dying. The mated females then spend the few weeks of their life building and lining nests, collecting pollen and nectar, laying eggs, and sealing their brood cell chambers. Leafcutter bees are all solitary species and almost exclusively nest in pre-existing cavities. This can be abandoned beetle tunnels, hollow plant stems, gaps behind loose bark or stones, nesting blocks, hose pipes, or really any suitable hole. A few species will dig nests in loose sandy soil, but this is mostly in the southwest deserts or near cranberry bogs along the Atlantic coast. Leafcutter bees cut leaves of different sizes for different parts of the brood cells and prefer leaves that are smooth on one side. Leafcutter bees tend to get a kind of bad rep, especially amongst gardeners. Gardeners will sometimes believe that leafcutter bees are harmful to plants due to their leaf cutting and stem nesting tendencies, but they really only cause cosmetic damage. Non-native species are believed to usurp native leafcutter bees, causing them to struggle to get nests built and survive. The non-native species Megachile apicalis is a specialist pollinator to the invasive plant yellow star thistle that is taking over native plants in a lot of North America. This is kind of doubling down against native leafcutter bees, causing their populations to decline. As with all bee species, there's always a concern of getting stung. Leafcutter bees are solitary bees, which means they are extremely unlikely to sting. Most bees will die from defending its nest, so unlike social bees that have a queen in charge of laying eggs and passing on genetics, solitary bees would rather start their nests over to get some eggs laid rather than die defending its nest and lose all of its genetic code. It is still possible though, so as always, if you do happen to get stung, step away from the area. You're likely near a nest area. Mark that as a nesting site and watch out for more severe reactions: dizziness, hoarseness, thickness of speech, extreme inflammation, though local inflammation is normal. If you notice any severe reactions, please immediately go to a physician. Some primary ways that we as humans can help leafcutter bees is by having these nesting sites available for them. Easiest way to do this is to have nesting blocks available near the end of summer. You can also have plants available that bloom at the same time that the leafcutter bees should be emerging, around consistent 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Here is a list of plants that commonly bloom around that time that you can plant native species of. Always remember that pollinators, and bees especially, are vital to not only our ecosystems, including all of the flowering plants, soil stability, and fruit, seed, and insect eating organisms, but also to the economy as they pollinate a large portion of the food that we eat and the food that our cattle and farm animals eat as well. So get out there and do your part. Again, it doesn't have to be everything all at once. What is one thing that you can go and do to make your yard just a little bit more pollinator friendly? Thanks for watching this episode of What's the Buzz?